The name of the game is playing really, really good baseball in late May.
We have a motto here that, little things become big things. And if we can take care of those little things, I think we're gonna be all right.
We got to bring your expectations are high, and this is kind of what we're used to. This is how I was introduced to Middle Township basketball.
I miss being on the sidelines. I miss everything what high school football is all about. I think it's the greatest sport.
It's not a walk in the park going through our league.
And the message is simple. We want to win a state championship.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Cal One-on-One right here on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, and with me is Coach Dom Williams from Bridgeton High School. Coach, it's a pleasure to talk to you. You've made quite the impact on Bridgeton High School since your return to your alma mater. 4-0 to start the season. Another big win this past week. Just first, take me through this journey of the first month of the season. You guys have been one of the stories here in South Jersey, and quite the turnaround after the last couple of years.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me, Nick. Really coming back home was like a dream of mine. Ever since I, played in high school, I always said I wanted to go to the NFL and come back and kind of change, some of the things that I saw could have been changed earlier on. But it's been fun, man, having some fun with the kids and some of my coaches.
Without a doubt. I mean, where did this start come from? Because it's been a drastic turnaround compared to the last 2 years. I know everyone was talking about how, people coming in and out of the program, not having a win for the last 2 years. And here you guys are, just an extreme start here. Again, 4-0. You guys just came off a win over Deptford. You had a big win over Egg Harbor Township the other week as well, in a big shootout, where I think a lot of people, saw that was a little bit eye-opening with that win as well. Just the reaction, it seems like it's a trickle-down effect. Once you guys got one, you just kept getting another one.
Yeah, we're just taking it week by week. Trying to be 1-0 every week. I think the biggest thing for us is just playing with heart and effort. That was something I preached since I got the job, and I met with some of the players. Just give me everything you got, for 60 minutes, and every time we're at practice. Give me everything you got, and I'll teach you guys some of the little nuances that'll make you better players. And they trust me, and they believe in me, and they've been listening so far.
When you look at this program and what it was and what it's been and now what it is today, you were with them. I believe you were on the coaching staff just a few years ago too, and then you eventually came back now as the head coach. Just what are some of the differences that you've noticed before when you were an assistant coach and now compared to you as the head coach, building your own staff, bringing in the kids, keeping kids home? What's really changed since the last time you were back at Bridgeton?
Really the weight room program. I was a certified trainer. I actually wanted to get into, I was going to take my CSCS to be a strength and conditioning coach because I love everything about the body, really changing the body and shaping the body and performance, growing in performance. And I studied it for some years now. And I think the weight room program definitely made an impact on the players and just the culture of the team.
When you talk about this culture, I love how, I know you've been quoted as saying this before, that you always had a dream of going to the NFL. You accomplished that, but you always wanted to come back. What really pushed you to want to come back home rather than say, I'll take my business or my coaching talents elsewhere when I'm done with my career? Maybe I'll go up north or I'll go to a different state. What really enticed you to come back home and coach at your alma mater?
Something that my parents always taught me was that, charity starts at home. And before I, take a dive anywhere else, I wanted to make sure that I gave back home first, if I even want to coach. I know that I tried coaching college football and I liked it, but there were some things that I still wanted to do with, my list of goals. And one of those goals was to come back and open the door for some of the kids in Bridgeton.
When you talk about opening up the doors in Bridgeton, it's I'm trying to put it into words because I go back to, I'm from Egg Harbor Township. We played Bridgeton in youth football, played them in high school as well. When you talk about the town where, they were in group 5, you guys have bounced around between enrollment groups as well. But Bridgeton was always known as there's a lot of talent out there, and maybe it just never got over that proverbial hump? Going back to when you were in high school, you were on some talented teams, obviously a very talented player yourself. And even when I was in high school, I know Bridgeton was a very solid, they were a sound football team. What was it like back then? And did you take some of those lessons or those experiences back when you were in high school, maybe a couple years after you left or after you graduated, you apply that now?
Yeah, Bridgeton's always been a tough football team. One thing about us is we're gonna play tough. We love to hit. Hitting is like preached, and it's like the gospel in Bridgeton. Hitting was the foundation of our midget league programs. It's just playing with that toughness. Just carrying that from over the years of me watching when I was a kid, and then me also, playing as a player, just trying to bring back some of that toughness, because there's always been a lot of talent in Bridgeton, right? And a lot of kids have gone elsewhere. I can think of, a few names such as like a Jada Byers. Jada Byers went to St. Joe and made history, but he's, right here from Bridgeton. And he and I talk almost week to week, just, to kind of check in with one another. And I still do that with a lot of players from the area. And I'm, to be quite honest with you, I wanted to show New Jersey that there's still talent in Bridgeton.
When you do it yourself, do you have more confidence as a head coach to preach that to your program in the town, because this is where you're from, this is where you played, and you could say to your players and parents of those players as well that, I got to the highest level by playing right here. I went to college, I played college ball, and again, I had a couple stops in the NFL. Is that one of your biggest calling cards, saying, look, I did it, your kids can certainly do it as well under our guidance?
Not necessarily. I think it kind of speaks for itself. When people know, everybody in the community know who I am. They know my background, but I don't think people really could gauge the knowledge that I have for the game. I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the strongest. So I had to figure out what was going to be my thing that was going to get me to my goal. And that was studying the game. I studied the game. And, Coach Ray Wilkes would always say, man, I didn't even have to call the defense. You would come to the sidelines and tell me what you saw. And sometimes he would let me just call the defense, in the heat of the game. And that's just from me being a student of the game, man. I love this. I love football. I watch football all day long. And I really, really study. And I try to take what I know and try not to make it too complex for the players. And I simplify it so that they can just fly around and play football.
And it's curious you say that, because is that one of the things you wanted to preach to your team when you were trying to rebuild this thing? I know you just mentioned before, Bridgeton always has a culture, love to hit, be a very physical football program. And I think that's what you guys have shown so far through 4 games. But did you also not only get tougher, but mention being a student of the game? Did you want to basically change that, or maybe almost overhaul that with the program, and saying, if you're students of the game first, and obviously that crosses over with the classroom as well, but if that's what you do first, is everything else kind of fall into place? Yeah,
absolutely. Really, my biggest thing is especially with the coaches. We've just been trying to put into to the players' heads like those transferable skills, right? Just how you study a playbook in football is the same way you can study in your classroom, or if you guys, when you graduate, you want to get into business or whatever it is that you want to get into. Just teaching them how to, find the information, retain the information, then go out and apply the information. So my biggest thing has been teaching them life lessons through the sport.
And I like, life lessons are, I think a lot of people learn that from playing the game of football, whether they're a varsity starter or they're a guy who just maybe played special teams their entire career. Speaking of some of your players, and I read this story earlier this weekend, right after you guys beat Deptford, Eric Hilton, your star running back. I didn't know he didn't play running back before, and he said he asked you to play running back, and you just said, okay, here we go. Tell me a little bit about that story, because he's been a revelation for your offense, considering he's run for, I believe he's approaching 700 yards already through 4 games, and he's just been an absolute stud on offense.
Yeah, man. Eric was adamant about playing running back. I told the guys coming in, tell me what you want to do. I would never tell a fish to climb a tree. Tell me what it is that you want to do. I will evaluate you just like I evaluate every player, and just preparing them for college. And if they do get to the next level, that every single day is an evaluation. And Eric, proved himself. He had a hard battle. A lot of kids were trying to transfer in to play that running back spot, and that was something that was in question. Every other position was pretty much filled and with 2 or 3 or even 4 backups. But the running back position was still up in the air, and Eric took control of it. He owned it.
When a player like that owns it, considering he's never played the position before. And by the way, what did he play before he played running back this year?
He played defense. He was like a defensive end, linebacker / outside linebacker. Eric was a Swiss Army knife on the defense.
It certainly seems like, considering he's one of the better running backs in the county at this point, at least through the first 4 games of this season. Well, but when a kid like that does that, and again, you probably just gave him, not even just him, but maybe your entire team, a blank check, or just a blank canvas, and say, like you said, tell me what you want to do. Let's try to work this out. When a kid does something like that, where he transitions from the defensive side of the ball to running back, one of the star positions on your offense, what does that do to his teammates? I mean, does it inspire his other teammates to say, well, he didn't do that last year, he's doing it now, maybe we could do something special as well?
Yeah, we definitely try to hone in on things like that, right? And what I mean by that is highlighting some of the effort. Eric was a high effort guy. In practice over the summer and, over the spring and 7-on-7s, you would see, guys like Eric working extremely hard in practice, like running, communicating as a leader, picking up some of his classwork, in study hall. He was behind a little bit, but he picked it up, and you just saw his effort, man. That was the biggest thing for all of us, us coaches, when we were evaluating all of the guys, is just effort. Who's going to go out and give it everything they got, no matter what? And Eric was one of those guys.
It just seems like there's a big culture change, and just even that small example, it just matriculates throughout the entire team. Tell me about the biggest challenges you faced when you took on the job. I believe you were hired, I want to say back in, was it January you were brought in officially?
Yeah, I think so, like January, February-ish.
So when you come in the winter time, and this team is coming off a rough season, maybe kids are leaving the program, or you have another high graduation rate, and you basically have to start over from scratch. What was that like? Tell me about your first day on the job, and say, what did you do first?
My first day was, I just wanted the community to know that I was coming back home. Everybody's been asking, they've been seeing the program, and they know what I'm capable of. So my very first day was just letting everybody know my motto. And my motto for this year was earn it. Anything that you want, any significant, highlights or, statistics, if you want to play, you got to earn it. And that's on the back of our t-shirts, our weight room shirts, is earn it every single day. Every day, even if you had, like Eric had a great game against Defford. Yep. But he knows that game is behind us, and he got to go back out and earn it every single week. So, that was, my message to the guys from day one. We're going to play with effort, and we're going to earn everything we get.
When you guys earn everything you get, I can only imagine the buzz that's been created over the course of the last month by you guys, because, maybe going into the season, people expected, hey, maybe this is a fresh start for Bridgeton football. Maybe you get back to what it was about 10 years ago. But with this type of start, what kind of buzz have you noticed around the community, considering maybe it hasn't been there for such a long time?
Right. Yeah. A lot of community members, man, they call me, they message me on social media, everything, man. I don't think I've gone a day without someone contacting me and thanking me for doing what I'm doing for the kids. But I will say that it is bringing the community together. You can see it in the stands, and you can hear it in the barbershops and even in the grocery stores, man. It's beautiful to see, this happening in Bridgeton, and also not just in football, but, some of our sports like cross country. Yeah. Big shout out to Coach Nichols. He's turning that program around. Soccer and all of those sports, they've actually been working really hard along with us. So it's not just me that's bringing the community together. It's the athletic department as a whole.
When you look at that athletic department, because again, I know football is a big part of it. A lot of people like to point at football and sometimes basketball as well, whether it's high school or college, that those are the programs that kind of springboard everybody else. But when you do see that, as you just mentioned, cross country and soccer, and who knows what the winter sports are going to end up doing as well this year, when you see that, does that almost give you a bigger satisfaction than, even if you guys were 2-2 at this point, would an impact like that almost give you more satisfaction, by comparison to wins and losses?
In a sense, you can see the culture and us developing, a sense of community and togetherness. We sat out and watched the field hockey game before we played Egg Harbor. Just doing things like that, going out and watching the soccer games. We've done that several times and just supporting one another. And then, speaking with Coach Nichols, he has a plan, because he'll also be coaching track, and I'll be helping him out with track and track and field as well, trying to bring that program back. But you can kind of sense that all the coaches are together with changing the culture.
I do like hearing that, especially the culture change, especially for programs that have been, quote unquote, down in the dumps for a little while. I wanted to circle back to your quote when you mentioned that this has always been a goal of yours. And I know we alluded to it earlier, but you also mentioned not just Bridgeton, but Cumberland County as a whole. And I feel like Cumberland County has its own culture compared to when you come out here to Atlantic County or Cape May County, even though you guys as a high school play a lot of all the Cape Atlantic teams within, within the divisions and within the conferences, the old school conferences. But when you talk about Cumberland County as a whole, based on what you and your staff have done with the football program this year and what the other coaches have done with, cross country and soccer, as you just alluded to, when you see that happen at Bridgeton High School, do you feel like that's going to have a positive effect on the other high schools that might be struggling with throughout the county?
Absolutely. I believe so. At the end of the day, it's really about competing. And when they see not just Millville, shout out to Millville for doing a tremendous job and setting the standard in the county. I believe there's something there, right? Because the kids talk, they talk trash, and some of them are relatives, and they played, youth league sports together their whole lives, and they talk. So it's almost like that, bringing that competitive spirit back into the county as a whole, right? We all know, Millville is at the top right now, but they've set a mark for everybody else to kind of reach, and it's a beautiful thing, right?
I like that you bring up Millville, because they've been, one of those definitions of excellence over the past couple of years. Do you have any fond memories of when you were playing at Bridgeton? You mentioned the Cumberland County, whether you guys played Millville or you went elsewhere around the county. Do you have any fond memories of just those classic battles or any other classic battles with, the old school Cape Atlantic teams?
Well, in high school, we didn't play anyone in our county. I wish I would have, but we, in the youth leagues, we played them, and I personally never lost in the county. So I take that personal. We actually did play Millville my last year coaching at Bridgeton, my last game, and I made it a point to where if I played anybody we played Millville as well when I was coaching. Now that I think about it, but we were down. Like, we had a lot of first-year starters on the offensive line. If that's the case, you're not going to have a good season. But, we lost to Millville those 2 years, and then we came back and we beat Vineland my last year coaching there. That was my last. I told the kids, I said, listen, I'm going to coach this game like I'm the head coach. I apologize if I step on anyone's toes, but there is no way that I'm going to lose to Vineland. There's no.
I mean, based on the way realignment works in the West Jersey Football League, if you guys are able to climb the ranks, maybe one day you do cross over with Millville in that division. I'm sure that's going to be a game that you and Bridgeton would definitely circle on the schedule. Am I wrong?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I just love what Millville is doing. Yeah, man. I have nothing but respect for.
When you look at it, not that you want to be a carbon copy of them, but because they're not too far down the road, and you mentioned all this respect you have for them, and a lot of coaches do, because they were state champs 2 years ago. They were in the sectional finals just last year, and they're looking like another state title contender here in 2024. Not that you want to be a carbon copy of them, but when you look at a program like that, do you take lessons or examples from how they rebuilt their program into an absolute powerhouse over the last 10 years and apply it to your own, or you just say they have their own thing, we still want to do our own thing?
Right. Yeah. That's definitely my motto, but it's hope. That's the word that comes to mind when you see that, someone from the county doing exactly what Millville is doing. It's just hope. Just letting the kids know that, those guys, you played with those guys your whole life. They're not too different from you in skill level. Brooks is a generational talent, but, we have Jeremiah Russell who is, just as good.
Mhm.
You know, Jeremiah Russell can be a really good talent, but for a long time, I don't think he really believed in himself the way that he does now, and still trying to get him, over that hump of some of the, habits that he adopted over the years of, just bad football. And that's not to discredit anyone or Jeremiah himself. It's just that I think, like I said, hope. Seeing someone like Brooks do what Brooks is doing. Brooks is a generational talent. But I told Jeremiah, I'm like, I don't see no different from you and Brooks. It's just effort.
So I like the way you phrased that. And Coach, I'll leave you here with this one. Again, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come on the show here on Cape Atlantic Live. The hope is what I want to focus on right here, because you've brought that message across multiple times during our conversation. I'm sure you've said that ad nauseum with your players that, if you have hope, you can achieve X, Y, and Z. And so far it's working out for you guys. Just when you get that message across, is that more than just, I got to imagine that that's more than just football. It's you have hope right now on the field. You can have hope in the classroom. You can have hope for if you want to go into business or trade schools or college and, start whatever they want to do post-graduation. I got to imagine the message of hope for your football team is going to expand across just even off the field as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely talk about, what's next, what's the other solution? Because one of the most difficult things I faced when football was all said and done was, what do I do next? I just tried a bunch of things. I tried, being a business owner, and tried personal training. Now I'm into motivational speaking. I've been traveling as a motivational speaker. I've done professional developments for teachers, companies, or you name it. But it never gave me the same type of fulfillment that it does with football. And for those guys, I just want them to see different options, right? When I brought up Brooks and Jeremiah Russell, I can recall sitting in the stands when I was young and seeing George Jameson.
Yeah.
He came back and spoke at one of our Parade of Champions, and I looked at him and said, if he can do it, why can't I? And George Jameson played in the NFL for some time. He played in the NFL for some years, and he came right from Bridgeton. So there wasn't too many people in between George Jameson and myself that made it to the NFL. But I looked at him and I said, if he can do it, why can't I? And that's the hope I'm talking about with some of the players. It's like, if they can do it, why can't you? And that's what they're starting to understand.
I like that. And hopefully it continues for you guys. It's been a pleasure to watch you guys play so far. You guys take on Triton at home, according to the schedule, this coming Friday at 7 p.m. And look like the way the schedule's working out, I mean, we could see a great run for the Bridgeton Bulldogs. Coach, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day, and thanks for joining the show tonight.
Absolutely, man. Thanks, Nick.
Coach Dom Williams with me right here on Cal 101, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. Be sure to like and subscribe, and of course, check out the YouTube channel. And of course, when we broadcast live games on the channel as well. Again, it's Cal 101 on Cape Atlantic Live.